And so you're thinking about who is the person who's behind that search? Why are they searching? What are they looking for? What are their kind of needs and wants and desires when they are going and searching, that you can be able to display and give them that information that's going to be the most helpful for them, because then that's going to make and help them come back. Understanding where that person is in kind of their search journey, and then catering the information to be able to meet that journey. Am I thinking about, a content marketing or content strategy in there?
The future of SEO, not just from a human-centric, but just in general. What are your thoughts? The crystal ball question.
Yes, of course. I don't think AI is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
Our guest today is Angie Stuart, the manager of SEO for Red Door Interactive. She is a growth-minded digital marketing professional with 9+ years of experience in editorial and technical SEO. Her expertise involves using data-driven insights to create best-in-class programs that drive organic growth and enhance search visibility. At the core of her work lies a deep understanding of how to build brand recognition through creative content marketing, both on page and off page. Coming up through the agency world, she isn't afraid to roll up her sleeves and dig in to provide the best results for her programs. Angie Stuart, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Wow, we're really pumping me up over here. Thanks for the intro.
Well, it's an impressive background. So it is great to have you on the show. I am very much looking forward to our conversation. I think we're going to cover a lot. And I want to jump right in with something that I know is you're very passionate about and interested in. That's human-centric SEO. Let's just start with the basics. What is it, and how's it different from traditional SEO?
Yeah, that's a great question. So human-centric SEO is the idea that you're really focused on the person or individual versus trying to optimize towards maybe an algorithm or something like that. So you're really thinking about individual behind the person who's searching. What type of question do they have, and how can you answer that the best? Sometimes this ties into the concept of search intent. So what's the kind of meaning behind somebody searching? But really the idea of human-centric SEO is really in and of it that a human behind it.
And let's expand a little bit how it's different from traditional SEO.
Yeah, definitely. So in traditional SEO, sometimes, especially in old type of SEO, there's kind of this idea of gaming the algorithm. So maybe that's trying to, add a lot of links or, different types of backlinks, or really if there's something where there's a criteria of the algorithm, that's what you're optimizing for. So sometimes that can be sort of this old way of doing SEO. Kind of this new way, or really thinking about the human-centric side of it, is going beyond, some of those types of technical optimizations or things that, you're only thinking about for the algorithm specifically, but thinking about the actual person. So they're going to the search, they want to ask a question. Why are they asking that question? What are they trying to get out of it? And how can you make sure that you're thinking about that individual person when displaying the type of result for them? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? In search engine optimization, is that you want that person to find you, find that brand. And so you're thinking about, who is the person who's behind that search? Again, why are they searching? What are they looking for? What are their kind of needs and wants and desires when they are going and searching, that you can be able to display and give them that information that's going to be the most helpful for them, because then that's going to make and help them come back. So a little bit different in terms of the sort of output or goal behind what you're optimizing for.
So to the layman, or if I'm a brand marketer, is human-centric kind of another way of saying personalized SEO?
Yeah, exactly. So it's, with this kind of, honestly, where the way that search is going, it's becoming a lot more customizable and individual to the person. So when you're thinking about optimizing for SEO, especially in this human-centric way, you want to make sure that you're thinking about that individual when developing information that's going to give them that result. So the content on your website, how the website's performing, all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. Let's get into some core principles of it, like search intent.
Yeah, absolutely. So search intent is this idea that there's an intent behind somebody that's searching. So somebody comes to Google, let's say, and they have a question. One of the past examples that I gave was pickleball. Everybody loves pickleball. So if somebody is a new and beginner at pickleball, so they'll go into Google and they'll be searching for something like pickleball. But there is an intent behind that. So they want to learn what it is, or they want to understand the rules. They want to, there's a variety of different things. So when it comes to search intent, you're thinking about why are they asking that question? What phase in their sort of information gathering that they're in? Is it that they're brand new to this topic? Is it that they know about it and they're asking something a little bit more specific? So understanding where that person is in kind of their search journey, and then catering the information to be able to meet that journey. So if somebody knows, is just getting into pickleball and is looking for beginner rules, that means they're at kind of the top of the funnel. And so the information you want to be giving them is very broad and making sure you're connecting to them that way.
Interesting. So it has a top, middle, and bottom funnel aspect to it.
Yes, absolutely. Right. That is a part of any core marketing that a marketer should be thinking about is when you're developing information, that person who's coming into search is at a different point in their search journey or in the funnel that you want to keep in mind. So they can be in the top of the funnel. So that's kind of the beginning stages. They're just gathering information about it. They could be in the middle of the funnel. They know about it. They're thinking about making a decision. And so maybe you want to cater the information to, get them to convert a little bit further. Or at the bottom, they know a lot about the topic. They want to make something, decision that's very specific to them. And so making sure that you're also catering the information to whatever that might be. So, and that also might be a topic, right? If you're thinking about the high funnel, that might be somebody who's learning about the rules of pickleball to a little bit further down the line of, I want this very specific type of paddle that has a certain grip. It's lightweight. It's got a cool design that I'm into. So it's also thinking about kind of, again, who that person is, where they are, and how you can cater that information to them.
Wow. It's SEO and search is getting really personalized.
It is really getting personalized. And honestly, with the way that search is going, it's going to get even more personalized and customizable. You're starting to see AI overview, chat GPT, a lot of these different generative AI type of platforms. And what that's leading to is that deeper, more customizable ability to search. Again, let's take that example of the pickleballer. I actually gave this in a talk that I did for Red Door Interactive is, so let's say you're somebody who's picking up pickleball, but you actually used to be a tennis player and now you're picking up pickleball. So when you're coming into, AI overview or something like that, you can say, I used to be a tennis player that's now switching to pickleball. How can I start to learn the rules of pickleball with my tennis background? Or maybe the form, or maybe the way to do it. And now there's a deeper, more customizable ability to search for that individual that is far more helpful for that individual person, provides a way better experience because that result is catered to them. And now they can go off and continue their life, come back and have a very similar type of search where it's individual and customizable.
Right. Okay. I want to go back to something that was in your bio. And there's a reason for this. I want to overlay it. You mentioned that you have experience in both editorial and technical SEO. So kind of juxtapose those two over what we just talked about. How would an experience differ editorial path versus a technical SEO path? Does that make sense? What I'm asking? Like, I'm curious how you look at it differently. Or is there a difference?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to SEO, there's kind of two sides of it. And honestly, this is why I love it so much. So you can kind of go the technical route. So that's really thinking about the sort of technical aspects of a website. So is it coded correctly so that the information when a bot comes through can be understood in an organized and clear manner? So is the page coded structurally so that that information can be understood? Is it quick to understand in terms of how it's laid out? Things like, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, there's things like schema That's going to be piece of code that can be added into it so that it's better understood. It gets into things like page speed. So that's going to be, is it crawled and understood quickly? And all of the different things that go into that to be able to be understood. It's almost, in how I view it, is kind of the ground layer. You really want to make sure that your site is in a technically good place, then to shift towards the content. So there's kind of that, are all the books on the shelves organized correctly? Are they in alphabetical order? Can I find them when I want to grab one of those books? The editorial side is really the information inside of the novel. So is it written to engage somebody when they're on the website? Am I thinking about, a content marketing or a content strategy in there? Do I know who the person is coming to it? Again, do I understand their needs and wants and desires and the way that I engage them when they're actually on that landing page that makes them love the brand and understand the website? So there's kind of sort of these two areas of SEO that really blend well together, but you can kind of have a specialization in one or the other, or both if you just love this stuff.
Which you do.
Of course.
Let me look at this from a content creation perspective. How is everything we just talked about? What does it mean for content? How does it relate to content creation?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to content creation, especially for SEO, is you kind of start with, let's go back to that search intent. So why is somebody searching for something, and why are they asking that question? So it's really understanding who that person is. And you can blend in the content creation process, what's going to be really helpful for especially a marketer in today's world is first understanding the search intent. So why is somebody asking that question? But then really deeply understanding your audience. Who are they? What is that persona that they have? And how does that fit in to somebody's brand? Why would they care about what you have to say, what you have to sell, what service you have for them, and understanding that connection point and their search intent to then go into the content creation process. So there's a lot of upfront work that goes into it before actually putting pen to paper. And then when you're putting pen to paper, that's when you can start to weave in some of these, when you do things like keyword research. So you've understood where they are in the funnel, you understand who that person is. And when you're actually developing and writing the content, you're kind of creating little clusters of topics that they would find to be interesting, laying them out, writing them out onto the page that's very clear and a clear hierarchy, so that when somebody comes to the page, it entices them to keep, going down, consuming the information. And finally, at the end of whatever information they needed to get out of the page, they got it in the best possible way.
Interesting. How does it relate to design and usability of a website?
Yes, that is such a good question. And they go very closely hand in hand. So when developing content, one of the things that you want to do is make it engaging. You want somebody to come back. You want somebody to understand it. And the other kind of human-centric aspect of it is not everybody is the same type of learner. Some people like to read. Some people like images. Some people like video. So lots of different people like to consume and understand information in a different way. And so having a different mix of these multimedia pieces onto let's say it's a website, a web page for right now. Having that different type of information can be really helpful. If we're also talking about the modern world, a marketer wants to get the best bang for their buck. And so you can use a lot of that multimedia information in other different channels that's going to help SEO. So let's say you created a video for this wonderful beginner pickleball, page that we're building. And it has a beginner video. That's something you can share on social and then link back to the website. That's something you can share on YouTube, bring back to the website, send in an email newsletter to help engage people to come back in. So it's a really helpful way to engage your audience in that moment when they're searching, but it's also very helpful as a tool to be able to use in a lot of different other channels to then be able to share.
Right.
The second point of one of your questions was the structural element, and that's going to be very important as well. A lot of these concepts that we've been talking about relates to user experience. So the idea that somebody's having a very positive user experience when they come onto the page. It's the design is nice. If you come onto a web page that's maybe a little dated, you might think, okay, well, maybe this information is dated. So wanting to have a design of your website that's, up to kind of the latest norms, if you will. So having that information on there, really clean, crisp images that resonate with your audience can be another way to have great user experience, as kind of talking about, how the content is laid out on the website. That can be very helpful as it relates to that experience. And then, we're talking about this zoomed in single page. If you zoom out to the rest of the website, that's going to be really important as well. If somebody's landing on your page, you got them. You worked so hard to get them onto this page. Let's keep them there. Is there something for them to click and continue on with their journey? Is the header navigation very clear where there's actions for them to go to and continue onto the website? So that's another sort of aspect on kind of this structural, architectural area to keep in mind, is that if you did all of this work of researching your audience, writing out the page, getting them onto the website, making sure that there's a clear next path for them to take after they've landed on the page and consume the information that they wanted to.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. We're going to get back to our show in one quick second, but stay with me. If you're in the need for anything SEO and or link building related, you need to do yourself one quick favor. You need to go to the website that's on the screen right now, stanventures.com. Go there, tell them Steve-O sent you. The rest will take care of itself. Trust me, you can thank me later. Okay, that's fascinating stuff, but I want to get into a different topic now when it comes, still talking about human-centric SEO, and that's building trust and engagement. Those are really powerful words, as you know, for any marketer. So how does human-centric SEO, building trust and engagement, how does that come together?
Yes, that is such a good question. So, and it ties really nicely together. And that idea of trust and engagement is going to be so critical into SEO, no matter where it goes. So let's say we stay on Google, we are moving to an AI platform. Really, wherever you are, it's going to be very important to have kind of that trust and engagement. So let's first start with engagement. So that's kind of where we're talking about how to engage your audience. So step one, having everything in that structural place. Like we just talked about those nice images, those nice videos, having information that resonated with them. It's a really important blend of those visual elements, that structural element, as well as the topic that you're talking about. So, right, we also just talked about search intent, making sure you're understanding who that person is, talking about what they care about. What is the need that they have? What is the desire that they have? What is the want that they have? That's going to help engage them when it comes to information. Now, another piece of engagement that's going to go over to the trust side, trust is going to help with that engagement. So how do you build trust? Again, if we think about the old type of SEO, a lot of those kind of trust signals came from things like backlinks. Backlinks are still going to be important. They're still going to be foundational. That's something you still want to think about. But there's a lot of other elements to trust that are going to factor into the kind of that engagement level. So if we connect back to some of those visual elements, having a layout that's nice, a design that's nice, images that are crisp and relevant are going to inherently build trust. Right? Think about that example. If you're landing on a website that has kind of an old design, you might not necessarily trust that that information is the most up to date. And so you might look elsewhere to gather your information depending on what you're looking for. Additionally, what's being talked about and even who is talking about that can also be something that's very important. For example, we're going to say about pickleball. That's a great example. Everybody loves pickleball these days. If there's a pickleball pro that is telling you the right type of paddle to buy because it has the grip you're looking for, the lightweight element that you're looking for, you are going to trust that person's information a lot more than, let's say, just, your average Joe that's going to be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets individual to that person, but then also it ladders up to you as a brand or the marketer for the brand who you're trying to put out into the world. So, and that's going to factor into something called relevancy. So if it makes sense for your brand to be talking about this topic, that is also going to be building trust with a person, because you might sell this product. This might be a service that you have. There's some reason why it makes sense for you and your audience to be talking about that. And so that's going to be also very important in the type of conversation that you're trying to be a part of as a brand and putting that information out there. So there's a lot of different layers to trust, but they factor in with engagement kind of hand in hand these days.
Interesting. Let's take the bigger 30,000 foot view, the future, right, of SEO, not just from a human-centric, but just in general. What are your thoughts? The crystal ball question.
Yes, of course. I don't think AI is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay. It's kind of this technology that is very easy to adopt. And so if it's a technology that's easy to adopt and it's being very helpful, then I think it's going to take off. Now, what that looks like may be very different. And where people are searching, SEOs are optimizing for, I think will also maybe look a little bit different. So search engine optimization is in and of that. It's optimizing for a search engine. A search engine can be a lot of different places, and people are always going to ask questions. It's just a matter of where they're asking those questions. Maybe that's on social. Maybe that's on Google. Maybe that's on one of these Gen AI platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, things like that. But they're always going to have those questions. And so it's up to a search engine optimization individual, or there's now even a new kind of term coming out called GEO, which is a generative engine optimization. I don't love the acronym. I think there's a lot of, geos in the world that it can get mixed up with, but that's the term they're throwing out there for now. So that's what we're going to go with. But so it's adopting some of those different principles when it comes to search. So, as somebody who's optimizing for those search engines, it's going to be important just to understand a lot of the basics that I was just talking about. Who's the audience? What do they care about? How are they using it? And how can you cater the information on those different platforms to be able to serve to them in the most helpful way possible? Because then they're going to interact with you more. They're going to connect with your brand more, and they're ultimately going to come back. And if we go back to the kind of engagement topic that we were talking about, that's really where you're hitting your bottom line. Is if somebody engages with your brand so much that they feel a connection to it and come back, that's where you're going to see, somebody who's very qualified and and it's just going to be, a very qualified person for your audience. They're going to talk about you. They're going to go back. They're going to purchase more. And, I was actually listening to a podcast the other day. There's a really great quote by the founder of Poshmark that was saying, you can't buy engagement. And I think that's really powerful. And that's something that you need to work hard for. So if you're engaging your audience, no matter where search is going, that's kind of, as a marketer, I think where you need to hone in on is how you do that. Where it is, that might change, but that's kind of the mindset that I would recommend for people.
Yeah, I love that quote. And to kind of build on it, not only can you not buy it, but you can't guarantee it, meaning that just because they engage one time doesn't mean they'll engage every time.
Exactly.
And I think I know some brands fall into that. Okay, well, our engagement levels are up. We can just keep doing the same thing. We don't have to monitor. We don't have to keep testing. And that's a fatal mistake.
Yep, 100%. And that's why I'm so passionate about this idea of human-centric SEO is, if we're talking about going back to even the beginning of our conversation, what's the difference between this traditional SEO and the human-centric SEO is you're not trying to game an algorithm. You're not trying to understand, what's getting pull up into that top result, what you're doing is you're understanding the person, and inherently you might get there if you're connecting with your audience in that, most optimal way.
Exactly. Okay. You mentioned ChatGPT, which everybody, unless you've been under a rock, has at least heard of. So I got to get your thoughts on Search GPT. And Business Insider has said OpenAI has positioned itself to compete with Google in the search engine market. So what are your thoughts on, have you used it, Search GPT?
Yeah, they're taking on the big guys. It's exciting. It's a very interesting new place. So yes, so Search GPT has launched. It is in its kind of beta right now. So it's not fully rolled out, but it's just being tested for. So right now, what the process that they're in is they're partnering with creators and publishers to get feedback on what this product is before they kind of go to market with it. So what you can do if you want to be a part of that feedback is you can opt in and join the waitlist. So I have opted in and joined the waitlist on my personal account, my business account at Red Door. And so I'm currently on the waitlist for it, but we've done a lot of research with kind of what this is going to look like. They've talked about kind of, I guess, how this product wants to be used. And what they were seeing is, a lot of people are using ChatGPT for search. And so here's kind of this new way, this new product of search. They've mentioned that they have no intention of it being like Google, and they want it to be their own interesting design. But something that's going to be very important to them is being able to have cited and accurate information that's going to be presented to the person. And that's going to be in the form of links or sources that's going to be in that search experience. So I think that's going to be a really cool evolution to where we are right now. Because if you're searching something on ChatGPT, there's sometimes an efficacy that you're dealing with. You have to fact check a lot if you're using that for like a source of information. So them putting out a product where creators and publishers can, one, get that visibility, but also to get that credit is going to, I think, be really helpful for connecting with people who are actually looking for that type of information.
I want to ask you about a certain kind of click that I wasn't all that familiar with, zero-click searches. I saw this study really interesting. 6 in 10, almost 6 in 10 of Google searches now are zero-click. So before we get into what it all means, for those of us who are not as familiar with, what does zero-click search mean?
Yes, that's a good question. So the zero-click search is a result that doesn't result in a click. So that's the zero-click part of it. They exist out in the wild today. You see them all the time. So if you go to Google and you search something, there maybe will be a box at the top, or there might be a box on the side. Sometimes there's drop downs in there. They're called search features. They've got a lot of different names for those search features. And that's what a zero-click result is. So it's that somebody has kind of that box or interactive type of result that they're reading from. We talked about AI Overview, which is a new product from Google. You might have seen it yourself if you're signed into your Google account, but that's another type of zero-click result that's coming from the top of the result. And when that launched, there was a lot of kind of buzz and questions. Okay, what's going to happen to my traffic? And this type of result, in that it's a zero-click result, isn't necessarily something that's new, because there's already been results that don't generate a click. And so it's just another kind of type of those. But what people or marketers need to think about is what type of impact that's going to have on the traffic that they have, or traffic that's coming in specifically from organic. So because this is a big, large zero-click type of result that's at the top, and you might even be searching or interacting with that type of result, you might see less clicks that are coming onto your website. Because if you're in that list and it's getting pushed down, and there's also maybe paid ads lots of different types of results that are on there, that might be pushing down your result. Now, that starts to think about this idea of traffic and clicks that are coming into your website. And I think that's something that marketers should be very cognizant going into sort of this new environment, is what impact are these 0-click type of results having? But I would also say, if we're talking about people searching in different places and interacting with content, on some of these Gen AI platforms, what is that also doing to your traffic? So being really mindful of just the impacts of the changes in the landscape and how you as a brand then pivot to the changes that you're seeing in your data.
Right. Yeah, because brands and publishers, everybody, they have to optimize for these searches now, right? These 0-click searches.
Yep, exactly. And that's kind of going back to the human-centric side, is in my view, that's kind of how you start to optimize towards getting into those results. There's a lot of other, maybe ways that you could do that, like schema and things like that. But I would say inherently, if you just make sense to show up within that result, that's going to help kind of naturally get you there.
So I know we're coming up against the time here, but I have one final question, and I think you're the perfect person to ask this up. What do you think are some of the myths or misconceptions when it comes to SEO?
Yes, that's a great question. So for some of the myths, I think it's one, the kind of old way of doing SEO, that you can game the algorithm, that you can figure out the criteria, that you can place it into the, you can do something that's going to meet that criteria. Even if somebody's finding that they do and they're seeing a quick bump by it, that's not necessarily going to be long-lived. And you really have to think about it from a quality perspective when it comes to whatever tactics or strategies that you're implementing. This isn't a short fix. This is a long haul. And so when you're, thinking about the strategies that you're implementing, do it in a way that's sustainable. So I think that's going to be something that's very important. And then I think the other myth is that when a lot of people hear SEO, they think keywords. It's all about the keywords that I'm adding in there. Yes, but it's also a lot of other things. SEO is, and this is again why one of the reasons I love it so much, is it's this kind of perfect place where it interacts with a lot of other channels. And I think it's going to be very important to think about it in a multi-channel facet when you're thinking about optimizing for SEO. So when you're thinking about your strategy, think about how that ties to organic social and how organic social is going to be playing in with your webpage. Think about it from the design. Talk to your creative, talk to your designers when you're, building up a website. Have your SEOs and your designers talk with one another. If you're running paid media, have your paid media and your SEO talk to each other, because you might be targeting the right terms or not right terms that could be working together, so on and so forth. So yes, add the keywords into your landing pages, but think about it from kind of that more in-depth way that we just talked about, where it's integrated with other channels. You're thinking about your audience and you're doing it in a way that's going to be the most helpful and engaging that you can.
I love it. Well, listen, what a great conversation. I knew it was going to fly by, and it has. Angie Stuart, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Hey, I'm the guy from the video you just saw. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Now do yourself a favor. If you haven't already, subscribe to our content. Believe it or not, unconfirmed rumors and reports, you will see an increase in 20% in organic traffic just by subscribing. Okay, maybe not, but it's fun, right? But do yourself a favor, really. Subscribe to our content. You won't be sorry. Thanks.